Welcome to another episode of Women Making Strides on Chicago Talks. I am your host, Ray, and I am accompanied by SharmonJarmon today, y'all. She is an American alternative soul singer-songwriter, SharmonJarmon with an exclamation point, who masterfully intertwines her diverse talents in event curation, filmmaking, and music, propelled by an unwavering passion, the pure joy of creation. Sharmon's sound is a mesmerizing tapestry blending the rich essence of Chicago soul, the pulsating energy of house, and the raw grit of rock music into an auditory experience that captivates the soul. Having navigated the turbulent waters of anxiety since she was just 12 and faced the shadows of depression by 15, she channels her personal battles into a powerful message of hope and resilience. Through her influential platform, Sharmon fervently advocates for mental health awareness, shining a light on the often overlooked paths to understanding and healing. Her artistry not only entertains but also empowers, inspiring others to embrace their journeys with authenticity and courage. Well, thank you for joining me today.
Yes, thank you for having me. Thank you for wanting to interview me.
Yes.
It's always like an honor to be interviewed by people, so I appreciate you like reaching out and just saying, hey, like, you're cool. I want to ask you questions.
Yeah, you commented telling me about somebody else, and I'm like, okay, and I reached out to her, but then I'm like, okay, let me look on her page. I'm like, oh, she got some good stuff going on here too. I'm like, why did you promote yourself too, girl?
I'm a cheerleader. Like I was never a cheerleader in school or anything, but I'm that friend that's gonna push you, you know?
Yep.
Like if you tell me you want to do something or that you have this idea and you want to do it, I'm that person that's gonna gas you up, like, let's do it, you know, especially if it's healthy and safe. Like, I'm not gonna gas you to do nothing stupid, but if you definitely trying to like better yourself, or you have a goal and you're like, man, I want to create this, or I want to open this, I'm there, you know. And I believe in supporting women specifically. I feel like there's this false idea that women can't do things or we can't work together, and most of the time it's really just invisibility. People just don't know about it, you know. And so if I could be another woman to support and say, hey, like, check this woman out, she's doing some dope stuff, support her work, I'm always gonna do that, you know. It's so important for us to support each other, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what this platform is all about, because women don't really get a lot of recognition for the stuff that they do. So unfortunately, like in the media, the men are like at the forefront of everything, but it's like all these women that, and most of the time there are a lot of women in the background who are helping.
I was just about to say that.
You know, like you
I'm a background girly, you know. I produce for a lot of people. I creative direct for a lot of people. I consider myself a creator. You know, they use the term now influencer, or, you know, content creator. That's the term they use now. But prior to the social media era and like the digital era, there were people creating, but they were called producers.
Yeah.
They were called directors. They were called, you know, and so it's like, I've always been in that role of creating for others. I've always been the person helping the host, or helping the DJ, or helping, you know, the fashion designer or whatever, bring their visions to life. Yeah. I've done photography for people. I've filmed for people. And this was, again, just all based off someone saying an idea to me. And I'm like, oh my God, that sounds really cool. Like, what do you need? Like, how can we make this work? And if they personally couldn't do it themselves, I would just help. Whether it's me physically doing it, or me hiring people, or, you know, bringing on a team of people to do it. I believe in teamwork. I believe in community. And most of the time our visions aren't coming to life because we're trying to do it ourselves. And we can. It'll just take a lot of time.
A lot.
So if you're willing to, not necessarily quote unquote waste time, but if you want to take the longer route, by all means, do it alone. But if you're trying to say, a smooth route, a route that gets you there, gets the vision there quicker, it does help to have community and assist other people. And then also it helps you learn yourself, because there might be things that they have that you don't know or know how to do, and you can learn in the process if you're open to that. Not everybody's open to learning. So, yeah.
I like that you said that you like to help others create, because I'm doing the same thing as well. Like, I have a brand. It's called Hydro Riding. So with that, the slogan is we articulate creativity with fluidity. So we all know creativity is the thing that just flows and just comes from, it can come from anywhere. But my thing is just when people, like you said, when people have an idea, I like to help them bring that idea to life. If they have, if they need visuals or anything like that, like flyers or like reels being created, I help them with that too. The creativity part of everything is just, it allows you to just be yourself. You can put yourself into your art, into your music, into whatever it is, what you have going on. And then that community part plays a big role in everything, because you can't do everything by yourself. But at some point, you have to, until you're able to, hey, can you help me do this? Help me do that. Like, I see you do this. You want to come on my team and things like that. But I like the fact that you do that, because when I saw your company, I'm like, okay, so we're kind of similar in a lot of ways. First, I want to touch on you being a singer and a songwriter. So how did that come to be?
So my family is musicians. My dad is a drummer, and my uncles play guitar and just like other things, and a lot of my family members sing. So when I was a kid, I low-key thought we was the Jacksons, because like everybody did music, so it was like every family gathering, we was always making songs or just singing. And when I was about maybe like 12, my dad was working on an album with my uncle. They had a band, and at the time I didn't know, what a studio was, or anything about studios. I just knew we were at the studio with my dad, and it was boring because we couldn't go in there. Like we only could stay in the meeting area. We couldn't actually go into the studio. And then one day my dad was like, y'all want to come in the studio? I'm like, heck yeah, I want to go in the studio. And so he was like, all right, y'all, I want y'all to sing this, these words or whatever. And we was like, oh, yay, we get to sing, So what was this? Yeah, so 12 years old was like my first ever time singing on a recorded song. And it was on my dad's album. It's called Fiesta. And so from there, I feel like music for me personally is weird, because singing is actually traumatizing. I don't even like singing for real. I know that sounds crazy, but it's weird, because it's singing for me is something, it's like a pacifier, if that makes sense. Music is something that allows me to process myself. It allows me to get into my emotions, and so I think that's where the songwriting part came, because whenever I would feel things, I didn't feel like I could talk to anybody. So I would just journal, and I would listen to music. I would just, whatever was on, it didn't have to be R&B or nothing. R&B was one, but I listened to a lot of jazz. I listened to rock, just all kinds of music. And at some point, I would run into people who also wrote, and they was like, oh, this journal entry looks like a song. And I was like, yeah, how, And then just constantly just meeting people over time, I realized oh, I can turn my journal entries into songs. And, my songwriting friend, his name is James. He's in LA now. And he was one of the first people to be like, yo, this is actually a really dope what you wrote. And if you just tweak this and tweak that, then you have a hook, then you have a verse, And so it was I would just have a journal book, and I would just be in class. I would hurry up and do my work, but I would be in class just in that journal, writing stories, poems. but I didn't actually like record my own music until college. That's when I really was like, okay, I'm serious about it. I think I want to really try to make some music for real. And I don't know where I got the money, but I figured out how to pay for studio time.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just get blocks of time. I would get like 10-hour blocks. And I would just, try to go when I could and just get it out. And I put my first EP out. And I'm sad to say that it was 2016. Mm-hmm. That was my first EP. But I have been working on new music. And now that I have more understanding of who I am, now the music sounds different, right? Because I'm not pacifying myself anymore. I still have trauma, but now I've realized like I have to transmute my trauma not just for myself anymore, but I have fans. They want to hear songs from me, and they don't always want to cry.
Yeah.
Because in real life, I'm not crying. You know what I mean? Like I be dancing. I love dancing. I have fun dancing. And so I realized like with this new music I've been working on, I've been trying to focus more on dance music and just focusing more on what genuinely like comes out of me purely versus like, oh, I'm sad. Let me write a song about being sad, And so my first project is kind of disappointing to me now because it just sounds sad. And it's just like, oh, girl, you was sad, child. And so I'm so excited to present new work to people. It's coming very, very soon. And there's singles out, right now, some dance singles. A few dance singles are released over the pandemic. But those are definitely like a taste of where it's headed. Like we're going to the future.
Yes, on the up and up.
Yeah.
That's one of the beautiful things about art is like you always start from somewhere, but as you just develop as an individual, it's like you can see the progression of everything that you're doing. What's the name of your EP that you had?
The one I put out, the first one I put out?
Yeah, the first one.
It's called the Sunflower Series EP.
Okay.
And the reason I named it that was because at the time I wrote it, this was my first ever breakup, like real breakup, right? My first love, I had broke up and I didn't know how to handle those emotions because I never broke up with anybody before. And this was one of those, like, he ain't coming back breaking up. Like, how you break up with people and you just kind of keep the cycle going. But this was like, nah, sis, he gone. And so I was reading a lot of self-help books because I don't know why we do this to ourselves, but I was like, is it me? Like, what did I do? What was wrong with me? Why did he leave me? And so I was reading all of these self-help books of just like trying to figure out what was wrong when the reality was it awakened to me because the love we had for each other was that strong that he had to break up with me. Because if he didn't, I would have never let it go. As toxic as it was like, girl, this is clearly over. Like, why won't you let this man go, And so I was reading books about like awareness and mindfulness, and it led me to like taking yoga classes. And so I was reading on the sunflower, and the sunflower gravitates to the sun, right? Like naturally. And that stuck with me because at that particular time, it was summertime and I was depressed. Like, you're supposed to be happy in the summer, So it was like going out, like physically going out in the sunlight made me feel better. Going to do yoga made me feel better. And it helped me get out of the bed to the point where I started to look forward to like working out. And I started to look forward to eating better and drinking more water. And like, all of those things pushed me to write, and it pushed me to get the feelings out in a way that was like, I have a song on there called Happiness, where funny enough, the guy who I broke up with helped me co-write it. And we basically were trying to determine what is happiness for real. Like, everybody's always striving for this false idea of what happiness is, and it doesn't really exist. Like happiness is literally something inside of your heart, and that's what the words say. You know, happiness is on your heart.
Yeah.
There's another song on there called Holding, which I turned into a dance song, but the original version was a ballad, and it's just piano and just my vocals. And it was a poem I wrote about basically holding my breath to the point of dying, waiting for you to save me, because I'm holding my breath waiting for you, basically, was like the figurative of it. And even that concept, like, again, I was in a depressive state, so challenging the concept of suicide versus death. Suicide is supposedly a choice, right? Like, we choose to die, whereas death, we have no control of that. And so it's like, why is it that when we lose love, we feel like we want to die? Like, this, your life has not ended. That's a suicidal choice at that point, you know? And so those songs, now in hindsight, you know, I see why fans gravitated to them. I see why I gained fans from them, because beyond just me talking to myself, everybody's experienced death before. Everybody's experienced heartbreak before, you know, unless you're a little kid. But even little kids face heartbreak in different ways. So it's a universal language: love, heartbreak, death, inner power, you know, finding your inner power. And that's kind of how the EP wraps up. It's like, it starts off dark and just kind of like, what's going on, to ending with like joy and like, I just want this moment. I want this moment forever. And so I feel like I left my fans with enough to know, oh man, if she can end it like this, what's next?
Do you think that most people only feel alive when they have love in their lives?
I feel like unhealed people do. When you've healed yourself and really have found all parts of who you are, meaning the good and the dark, or what healers would say, the light and the shadows of yourself, you can get to a space where nothing matters, absolutely nothing, no matter who's with you or not, because you're so solid in yourself that you know you're abundant enough to attract something else. And if something leaves, it's probably not meant for you no more. You know, you might have gotten to a space in life where that's probably hindering you. And it has to leave you, because if it doesn't, you're just going to keep staying complacent. You're not going to change. And life is about change. You see that with the seasons. It doesn't matter what part of the world you are. It's always going to be a winter. It's always going to be a spring. It's always going to be a summer. And they may look different where you are, but the seasons are changing. And that's the same with you and as a person. You can't hold on to, as they say, you can't hold on to what no longer serves you. Yeah. And if you really do love yourself and something leaves you, you know, oh man, something better is coming. Yeah. That's at least for me, it's like, it's an optimistic mindset. You know, a pessimistic mindset will be like, oh my God, I'm never going to get this ever again. And then they won't, because they're not allowing themselves to attract nothing better. They're allowing themselves to be stuck in that space. You have to desire to want more, and we all have the ability to receive more. We just have to be open to it.
And from reading the bio, I noticed that you said you faced like anxiety and depression at like such a young age. So can you touch on like how you were able to understand the feelings that you had at such a young age?
So I found out about anxiety because of a science teacher. By the grace of God, there was my homeroom science teacher, Miss West. She was intelligent enough to know the signs of a panic attack, because I was at school one day and I was having a panic attack, and I did not know why I was having a panic attack. I don't know how, you know, it was triggered or anything, because I never had a panic attack before. So when it was happening, I was freaking out. And she asked me, she was like, have you had a panic attack before? Do you know what panic attacks are? And I didn't at the time. And so over time, I began to experience them a lot, but I wasn't trained in the language of what they were. And through therapy, I learned what they were. I learned what depression was. I learned what anxiety was. And based on my environment and how I was raised, it makes sense why I had anxiety. And I think as adults, we have to stop assuming that kids don't feel things. And we have to stop assuming that teenagers don't feel things, because oftentimes, I was told things like, "Oh, get over it," or "What are you crying about?" or "Shut up," or "You don't feel that," and it's just like, what do you mean I don't feel that? Like, my body feels what it feels, and basically just the gaslighting of your emotions and not having anybody to talk to about it. And the reality is my parents were married, so it's like, even if I did talk to one parent, the parent is going to talk to the other, and so eventually you start to lose trust, because it's like, okay, these are my parents, I have no choice, like, I have to live with them, but who do I talk to when they are the ones causing the anxiety? Right? And it's like, it gives you this weird emotion of betrayal, because your parents take care of you, your parents love you, but then they also are the cause of your anxiety. And it's like, how do you handle that? And I feel like that's partially, now that we're talking out loud about this is feeling like a therapy session. But now that we're talking out loud about this, I honestly feel like that's why I became a mentor in my adult years. I've been a mentor for about 10 years now. And even though I'm not a mental health mentor specifically, like, I do mental health events and I facilitate mental health workshops. But as far as like, I'm mentored in podcasting, but I use podcasting as a way to allow kids space to talk. They didn't, like, a lot of stuff that these kids would podcast about, they would never say that in front of their parents. Nope. They would never say that in front of their parents. But I didn't want them to feel like they didn't have an adult around that could help them navigate, right? Because kids date, regardless of what people want to believe. These little kids, they got phones, they're talking to people, they make friends, and sometimes their challenges isn't always boyfriend and girlfriend. Sometimes their challenges are navigating losing a friend and the betrayal of that, and so I would say I'm grateful for good teachers. I'm grateful for mentors in my life who saw me crashing out and didn't like just call me out to be crazy. Or like, oh, that little crazy black girl, she over there losing her mind again. Not doing that, and giving me a safe space to figure out what was going on and like provide resources for that. And so many young black kids need it, especially in Chicago. If you are in an environment that's violent, I used to see fights every day. Every single day. I know that sounds like it's not real, but no, it's very real. I would see kids literally beating each other to like they were bleeding fights, I've seen people bring guns. I've seen people bring knives. So this is all happening while I'm in elementary school. I ain't even made it to high school yet, I grew up. So after like after like third grade, we moved to the hundreds. We moved to like the Pullman area. And the school I went to, it was always fights. And then I went to high school in Morgan Park, and the proximity of where we were close to Finger and we were close to Julian. So it was like those dynamics of just getting on the bus, like trying to get to school on the bus and seeing people fight at the bus, or you just trying to get food. You go into the little sandwich shop or the little chicken shack or whatever. Yeah. And just seeing people fighting there, and then it don't always be kids, like seeing grown people fight. So it was just like, dang, being a kid in Chicago, I feel like it raises you in a different way. I don't know what LA kids deal with. I don't know what New York kids deal with. I don't know what Atlanta kids deal with. But what Chicago kids deal with, like, that's why I feel like we have such a big city of art.
Yeah.
I feel like that's why you see so many people make music, or you see so many people like making clothes, or like, you know, just doing creative things,
Yeah, it's the
because
outlet.
yeah, we have to transmute that anger, bro. We have to transmute it in a way, or sadness. It don't always be anger. Some people just be sad, and like they make art so that they not depressed, or it helps them transmute that depression, you know.
And like just Chicago, just in general, it's big in art. You know, like the Chicago Renaissance and things like that.
Right.
And like how you were saying, children don't have like adults that they can talk to about anything, because
Yeah.
you know, like I was talking to somebody else about, like, if you look at, you know, if you look at adults the wrong way, or say like the wrong thing, they, you know, they look at you kind of funny, or they think that you're trying to talk back or something like that. And it's like, I understand that I'm a child, however, I'm able to speak my mind just as you are, you know what I'm saying? And it may not, I'm not trying to articulate it in a way where it's disrespectful. I'm just simply
You
speaking.
know what? I don't know if that's like a black person thing, but I do
It
feel
feels
like
like
it's a
it.
racial thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the reason I say that is like, I've noticed when I'm around certain generations of people, I see that difference, right? Like when I'm around my elders, they act like that. And like, because I have a daughter now, my daughter, I don't force her to say things to people if she doesn't feel naturally compelled to do so. And I see like people like, oh, you don't want to hug me, you don't want to say hi to me. And when I was a kid, you know, I was forced. It was like literally like people would like grab your ear. I don't know if they did that to you as a kid, but like they would grab your ear like, you ain't say hi to me today. And it's like, whoa, like personal space, ma'am. I don't even know you for real, you know? And so it's like, I always told myself when I became an adult, I would never do that to kids, and I would definitely not force my kid to do it, because I feel like, let's be real, I feel like that's the first stage of consent, bro. Like, when you start to force kids to do stuff like saying hello or yes ma'am and all this other stuff, it's a difference between teaching like manners and being polite, and then forcing people to like hug you, or like, I feel like that's too far. And that's why we have a lot of situations as adults where people don't know if they've been violated or not, because like from childhood you've been taught that, well, because this person is older than me, I'm supposed to just do what they say. And it's just like, no, because they could very much be wrong. And that doesn't mean you have to be a rude responder either as an adult or a child. If somebody's speaking to you, you can still be polite and state your boundaries. And I've noticed that now that I've been doing that more, I definitely see the stares and the funny looks as a black woman, and I don't care. Because the truth is, that's why a lot of black women are harmed, and that's why a lot of black women don't feel safe, because we can't voice our boundaries. But somebody got to eventually do it. Somebody got to eventually say, no, we not doing that, and you got to chill. And if all of us start collectively thinking like that, less black women, or just people in general, will feel violated. Like, people have to respect boundaries. And if somebody say, hey, like, it's cool you said hi to me, but don't hug me, or maybe they are a hugger, like, oh yeah, you can hug me. Like, give people a chance. Give people a chance to tell you what they want and what they need. And I think we have to stop assuming, right? Like, again, our elders didn't have a choice. They lived in civil rights era and Jim Crow era, where people were like, you had to say yes ma'am or so, or you were gonna die, or you were gonna go to jail type shit, you know? My bad, I don't know if we can curse.
No, you good.
But yeah, it's like my grandparents are 83 years old. They've lived some life. So I'm never gonna disrespect a 83-year-old, 63-year-old person, because you have seen some stuff in your time that just, unfortunately for me, I don't have to deal with that. So I'm sorry that was your life. You know, I'm sorry you suffered that. So it's like having that compassion, for people's trauma, because the truth is, Trauma can become an identity if you don't heal yourself. But people don't know that. They just get stuck in that loop of like, well, I got hurt, and since I got hurt, I'm gonna just never do this ever again. Like, no.
Or I'm just like this.
You still got life. You still got years. This is one place.
Right.
Like, this just Chicago. Like, you still got a whole world out here that got whole different rules and whole different customs. So it's like, if you just so bent on how you feeling about how somebody's treating you, move around. Yeah. So many other people in the world.
Definitely.
You don't have to deal with this stuff, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, you don't
but
have to
people,
deal with it.
Some people scared to make changes or just be in different.
What are you scared of?
I be asking the same.
That's a psychology. There's literally a test about that. Have you heard about that? The fly test or the lid test, they say, where they put this fly in a jar.
Yeah.
Put the lid on it.
And
then they take the lid off and the fly don't fly out.
Yeah, I was just talking to
That's your mind. That's the same thing with your mind. Your mind is a computer, and it is naturally programmed to protect itself. So of course, your mind is gonna protect what it already knows.
Right.
If it knows I'm gonna eat these hot chips today, and tomorrow I'm probably gonna have a stomach ache, but these hot chips taste really, really freaking good, you gonna keep eating the hot chips because you just mentally you have not accepted. Dang, maybe the red dye in these hot chips is making my stomach hurt. I should probably stop eating that. No, you just be like, well, I know what the pain feel like, so I'm just. Because it tastes good, I'm going to eat it anyway. And I feel like that's the mentality of us right now in America. We are literally dealing with, I don't even know the political term for it, but we are literally dealing with the most gaslighting is part of history in the world. And these people are showing who they are, and they have not been impeached yet.
Hello.
Like, bro, what? How you got my social security information and you not a president? You not no type of government official, bro? Make that make sense to me. But I'll go on a tangent. That's neither here nor there. But mentality. People don't want to change because they are afraid of the unknown. But the unknown is where the magic happens.
Absolutely.
The unknown is where the magic happens. I wouldn't be a musician if I didn't unknowingly touch a keyboard or touch a guitar. Like, somebody sat and studied notes enough to create a scale. Right. But babies come out singing. Babies come out dancing. They've never heard music before. I mean, in our bellies, yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Babies are literally blind when they first come out. But somehow they see. You see what I'm saying? Right. Somehow they know where to go. That's how deep this goes. Yeah. Like, we have to look at nature and accept that we know what to do. We know what to do. We know where to go. And in our gut, we know it's time to change. That's why we feel it in our gut. That's why we feel it there. We know we're supposed to move. We know we're supposed to, whatever that is, whether it's, man, I'm supposed to quit my job and start a trucking company, whatever your goals are. You know, you don't have to be a musician, whatever you're supposed to be. I know a lot of young people specifically, you know, everybody wants to be a content creator right now. Nobody wants to go to school anymore. Yeah. If that's the case, guess what? Even if you never go to school, you still got to learn how to use the tools to content create. You gonna still have to go to that TikTok or whatever, read the app, figure out how to use the app. So it's like, change is all about, what do you want? What do you want to see for yourself?
Absolutely. And like, most of the time when people, like, they go through these traumatic experiences and they like realize like the person that they are, you know, it came to be because of these experiences that they went through. But they fail to realize like there has to be a point of time where you have to change, because if you don't, you're going to keep putting yourself in these same cycles. And I feel like people don't want to change because like they're scared to change, and also they don't want to be looked at as like different. Like the moment you stop doing something that you used to do that people are so familiar with, they're like, what the hell? Like what you got going on? Like, and it's, we have to put this narrative into people like change is good. You know, some people can't change for the good and some people can change for the bad, but the fact that just our community of people in general, like what we did have to face like back then and things like that, and even though they were looked upon as, you know, strange people, however they were also intellectual people, and they were able to look at what they were given and say like, no, I'm going to change this narrative even though I know I might end up dying or I might end up being lynched and things like that. They still took those chances, you know, and they ended up paving the way. But some people are, you know, taking the path that they did back then, and others is like, well, I don't want to be like that. I want to be over here in the corner with the other people. Just for what? They want to be in this box still, and it's like you being put in this box and you're not going anywhere. You're gonna end up nowhere, you know?
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, yeah, it's
You
just,
gotta accept some people don't want to.
yeah,
You have to accept some people are okay with being mediocre.
yeah, and that ain't cool.
And at that point, you have to ask yourself, am I comfortable being with mediocre people? Or do I want to be around people who are ready to evolve?
Absolutely.
Because the mediocre people, believe it or not, are just as necessary. Because yes, there's going to be people that you need that just keeps the engine going, meaning they feed the steam, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They may just have to be on the sideline watching you and be the one to, hey man, you're doing a great job, you know. That may be their role in your life. And that's where those, like how I was saying earlier, that's where those boundaries come in.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you see that and you can accept that may be the type of people that's around you, or that may be the type of person that they are,
Mm-hmm.
you have to protect your vision after that and protect your goal, or whatever the evolved version of who you're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you have those boundaries in place to protect that. Because yeah, even though a mediocre person can be supportive, they also can become jealous, because when they do see it's working for you and it's not working for them, now it's like, well, why isn't it working for me? Mm-hmm. Even though they can see what you're doing. But people don't see the steps. They just see the glow of the steps, right? Mm-hmm. They don't see probably the stress you had, all the water you had to drink, all the nights you couldn't go out. They don't see those parts. Yeah, they don't see those parts. They just see, oh man, you stunning, you shining, you killing it, you doing your thing. Mm-hmm. And it's always gonna be this constant, at least for me. I can't speak for other people, so let me not say it like a general statement. But for me, from my experience, I've connected with so many amazing people. So many people I wanted to stay connected to, saw visions for, saw myself collaborating with, that I don't connect with now. And that doesn't mean they're not good people. That doesn't mean they haven't evolved themselves. But sometimes you change, and your change is necessary for the collective community, or the humanity of it all. Mm-hmm. Like, beyond just being a singer, I'm a producer, like I said, and I creative direct. And so while I haven't been working on music, I've been doing that. Yeah. But what if I just didn't do either, and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to just stick to working in a restaurant, being a waitress, because I've done that to pay for studio time, you know? Mm-hmm. But that doesn't fulfill me. Going in a restaurant, putting on an apron every day, it does not make me happy. Because I know I'm bigger than passing out a plate. And that's not to say that a waitress who does that is not good. Mm-hmm. Some people aren't meant to be waiters. Yeah. Some people are really good customer service people. I've met them. I met this man who manages a restaurant, like a hotel restaurant. And he has to dress up like in a suit and everything. Yeah. And you know, some people don't like to dress up. You know, some people don't like to wear suits. but his energy was just like, he felt, you could tell he wanted to be there. You
Yeah.
could tell he wanted to manage that restaurant. And there's some people that's like that. And that's okay. If you really love food and you like to cook and you're a chef and you're not dressing fancy every day because you're sweating and all that, be great at being a chef. Because guess what? I love to eat. And I want somebody that love to cooking my food, girl. I don't want nobody that's like, oh man, I got to make this burger today. You know what I mean? Because that burger's going to be nasty. I want somebody that's excited to make a burger. So it's like, whatever your passion is, whatever you're really good at, whatever naturally serves you, I feel like if this situation of America and just what's happening right now don't inspire you to do that, like even you doing your podcast, that's something you're passionate about. So do it, and do what naturally makes you feel right about it. You know, not because, oh well, I saw so and so got a podcast and they look cool. Like, no, if you really feel like you talk to people and it's natural to you, do it. Yeah. Like, we got the space. The internet is free. You can put your song out on Spotify today and be a singer. You know, like don't let nobody tell you because you doing whatever job you doing that you not what you say you are. If you say you a guitar player, but you a mechanic right now, damn it, go play your guitar when you get off work. Like, just do what you're supposed to do. I think that's what the content creation space has made us forget. Because so many people are trying to create content versus doing what they're supposed to do. Yeah. If you do what you're naturally supposed to do, content don't feel weird for you. It don't feel like, oh man, I got to make this real today. Because personally, I mean, I feel like my page pretty dry, but that's on purpose. I have so many, like, honestly, I need to delete stuff out my phone. It keeps saying I'm out of storage. Like, I have so much stuff I've never put out. Videos, pictures, but I believe in privacy too. Like, just because I'm an artist doesn't mean you have to see my life or how I evolved unless I feel like showing you, which most of the time I do. I just do it artistically. I do it in a music video, or I'll draw, a piece about it, but I don't feel like what's happening with us is by accident. Right. I feel like this is to wake all of us up.
I think so too. I can agree with those statements. So speaking about producing and being creative, let's talk about Strawberry Red Entertainment and how you brought that into life.
So Strawberry Red Entertainment, the name was, I used to have red hair, funny enough, strawberry blonde hair, and at the time I had a podcast where I would just play music from like local artists, and it was called Strawberry Jams Radio, and I would interview artists, and from that podcast show, I started like doing like these little open mic events and like poetry slams, and people from that was just like, man, you should do your own thing, because I was working at the radio station, but politics, you can't, when you're working with a commercial station, it's only so much you can do. You can't always play local artists and music, and that was frustrating me because I really wanted to help people, and I really wanted to like give the Chicago music scene a space, because we have so many great artists here, and a lot of them feel like they're being not being heard because our stations don't play them or support them or put them on shows. And so I was like, what is a way that I could help? And I wanted to give people ways to do shows. So obviously, with the pandemic, things changed. And so I found myself creating digital content, like documentaries on artists. Instead of doing shows, I would just film them like working in a studio or like at their concert or something. And I called it Known Series. And this was just being inspired, seeing so much good talent and nobody's filming it. Nobody documented it. And I'm a huge podcast girly, blog girly. So I'm watching shows like Joe Budden podcast and like Breakfast Club and like all of these shows always represent like New York and Atlanta. And I'm like, don't nobody show Chicago.
Right.
That's so frustrating to me. And so Strawberry Red Entertainment is like grown from just this podcast to now we're a full creative production house. And basically what we do is we creative direct, we live stream, we create content. A lot of my content is original content, but even with my original content, I'm focusing on other people. I'm not focusing on me. And so many people, I ain't even gonna hold you. You probably about to get it exclusive right now. But I'm basically working on a show. The fans want me to call it the SharmonJarmon show. I feel like that's corny, but apparently that's the poll says that I should call it that. But basically the show would be me, me talking, but like still highlighting all of the things that I'm already doing, but just centering it on me versus everybody else, right? Because I'm out, like if you look at my documentaries, I'm not on camera. Like even though I'm interviewing them, I never show my face. I literally just show the artist. And so, the people have spoken. They're just like, yo, why don't you get on camera too? And I'm like, okay, I guess so. So yeah, coming this spring from Strawberry Red Entertainment, we are currently in production right now, actually filming the new season of Known. We have 2 seasons out right now on YouTube and Facebook, but we are working with new artists right now, filming them. And the thing about Known, because it's a documentary, it takes time. We're not just shooting one day. We're shooting the actual artists. So we're with them at the studio. We're following them at band rehearsal, and those days are so random. So the production for that is definitely hard, but like once the seasons come out, it's so fulfilling to be like, man, out of all of that time, we got this 15 minutes of greatness. You know what I mean? So I'm really excited about Known season 3. And then, like I said, the SharmonJarmon podcast. We were gonna operate it as a morning show, but the reality is I do too much where it would not make sense to try to do it in the morning, because I be doing stuff at night. I be doing stuff all times a day. So I'm just going to focus on just filming and just putting it out, and I feel like YouTube, there's no such thing as time anyway. People watch stuff whenever they want to watch it. Right. So it's going to come out and y'all will be the first to know. We just said it here. So yeah. Excited, support Strawberry Red. For sure. As far as our community efforts, as you know, mental health is a huge thing for me. So May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we are bringing back our softball game. We do a softball game every Saturday in May. Okay. We're gonna do it at Grand Crossing Park on the south side. And the baseball game is basically the teams are musicians, so we get different musicians to battle it out on the field for a good cause. It's free to come. We have snacks. Kids can come and play. It's very fun, very safe. And yeah, that's what we got going on. Definitely check out my pages, my links to get more details.
Okay, that's lit. So you really...
Yeah, come on, y'all. Get outside.
No.
I love seeing people in person. We all be online. Like, play softball. It's so easy. It's fun.
Yes, I love the fact that you're like actually active doing something. Because some people are like, oh yeah, I'm with the mental health awareness, but then it's like, okay, well, what you doing with it?
Also, too, it's like I'm a mom now, and just being real, it hurts that everybody can't experience me at a quote unquote show because they're in clubs. They're in clubs that are more than likely 21 and up. And again, I mentor a lot of young people. So it's like, this is my way of like tapping into my fans, and also for other musicians to like get their fans to support them beyond just shows, because some people just can't make it to a show. They may not have a babysitter or whatever the case may be. And also I'm working on sobriety. I'm not sober. I'm very honest with my alcoholism. I'm very public about it. But my goal is sobriety. And so it's like I'm trying to also intentionally be in spaces, but create spaces where people can be sober. As musicians, it can get very easy to get like addicted to things, like just being honest, you know, being in the scene. There's drugs, there's alcohol, there's things that like you can get into, and you have to really be intentional about, do I want to be that type of artist?
Right.
Because that can become an identity, you know, being known as the person that's high or drunk all the time, and that's not cool. Personally, for me, I don't want to be known as the drunk singer.
Right.
I don't want to be known as the singer that's always intoxicated or that's always effed up, quote unquote. And so, yeah, like I want people to feel safe when they come to my events, my shows. I want them to know that, you know, they can bring their kids, that it's family friendly. And it's also a way for me to help build community with my daughter. Because let's be real, like at some point she's going to need friends, right? She's not going to want to be with her mom all the time. And so by me building connection with people in real time, now I get to meet your parents, right? And I get to understand what type of person your parents are. So now if they do say, hey mom, I want to hang out with so and so, I know they mom, I know their dad, and I feel like we got to get back to that, yo. I feel like people don't know their neighbors no more. Like when I grew up, even though it was all the violence happening, that's what kept us safe. Because the neighbor next door would like, come over here, you know, come eat some snacks, get out the street, get out the park. I don't want y'all getting shot, you know? So it's like, where do kids have that anymore? Do they have that neighborhood candy lady that's gonna be like, yo, y'all good? You know, they shooting outside, come here. So it's like, if that had to be me, look, I don't have no big old house or nothing, but I do want to be a safe space for people. You know, I want it to be beyond just an artist. Even if I never did music again, I want to be that person within the community that creates a safe environment for our people, and all figure it out. You know.
Yeah, we need more safe environments. Like, I know when I was a kid, and if I ever wanted to go somewhere or spend a night at somebody's house, my mom would be like, okay, I need to meet their parents first, you know? So, yeah, times are changing, like...
Super changing.
Yeah, and it's like the parents now, I mean, like, they're fairly younger, so it's like they really don't have, like, that structure, like, how it should be, or, like, you know, what they should do when they have children, like, how they should go about certain things, because maybe they became parents at a young age, or... It's just like the millennials, you know. It's just everything has changed.
I mean, I was shocked when some of my students was telling me like they boyfriend spent the night. I was like, what?
What? Could never.
Never. I mean, the most my boyfriend could do was see me at the house, but he wasn't spend the night.
No, that you can.
Yes,
you can.
Times have definitely changed.
You can't even think about that. Talking about spend a night, that's crazy.
Exactly.
What would be like some words of encouragement for women who are, let's say, wanting to step into like using their creativity, or just for women who are thinking about starting their own business?
I would definitely say any woman that's... I'll do the first question. For women who are choosing to tap into their creativity, I'm a very spiritual person, and the difference between men and women is that women have wombs. Women have womb space, and we are naturally meant to create. We are naturally meant to take something and turn it into something else. Right? When a woman receives sperm, that sperm can only turn into a baby when it's inside of the womb of a woman. And I understand we have science and all of the things, but the reality is you need an egg at the end of the day to develop and create whatever you're trying to do. And so you have to look at that analogy when it comes to creating anything, whether it's a business, whether it's your art, whether it's creating yourself. A lot of women don't know what they are or have an identity. A lot of women are operating on what they think a man wants, or what their parents told them to do, or how they should be. There are situations where women talk to me about hair, and they're just like, "Oh my God, I would love to dye my hair blonde." I'm like, "Why not? What's stopping you?" "Oh, I can't do that." And it's like, why not? Like,
Right.
when I hear some of the things that women say about the things they can do, I just be like, why not?
Right.
Like, what is stopping you from cutting your hair, from letting your hair grow? Everything takes intention. If you want your hair to get long, you don't have to wear a weave.
Right.
Our hair is capable and able to get long if you treat it, well enough. If you look at the women, obviously a lot of hair comes from like India and Brazil, but if you look at their women or research their women, they're not doing nothing different.
Right.
Besides washing and eating and making sure they eat healthy or whatever the case. And they have a ritual or routine that they do to keep their hair, and that's the same thing for you. Women, we have to stop running away from this idea of rituals and calling it witchcraft. Like, one of the things I hate about being a soul artist or being an artist that comes off natural because I have the curls and like I dress a certain way, it's very annoying to be stigmatized with spirituality and with just overall appearance.
Right.
Because I feel like the woman is naturally spiritual. We're naturally intuitive. And so we have to embrace that and tap that. We have periods for a reason. Like, your body physically follows nature. You have no choice. And so we have to use that energy to create what we're supposed to. So if you're meant to be a mother, if you're meant to be a business owner, if you're meant to be an artist, a teacher, whatever you're supposed to do, study it. Study it as much as you can. Go to the library. I go to the library. I love going to the library. It's free.
Right.
I can get a book to read how to create a 501c3. Why would I not do that? Nobody's stopping you from educating yourself. I know for me, one of my biggest weaknesses was trying to impress men and like doing stuff that would get a man's attention. But now it's like, that's not my goal. I don't care if I'm attractive to you, because the reality is I make me.
Right.
I wake up and make my hair curly because I feel good with my hair curly. I wear my hair straight and it's like, it's cute.
Right.
But I don't feel like myself. My hair is naturally sandy brown, but I don't feel like myself when my hair is brown. Like, you can ask my friends when my hair isn't colored, they're confused. Like, they're like, girl, what's going on? You dyed your hair brown? What's going on? Like, I don't feel like myself if my hair isn't blonde, or because like I've had my hair pink, I've had my hair blue. So it really be my mood, how I feel. But it's just like, even my clothes, like I dress based on my mood for that day. Some days I may want to wear a dress. Some days I may want to wear pants. Like, it just it's based on the feeling, and you got to follow that feeling. And women, if you're listening, don't allow people's opinions to stop you from your feelings. If you put something on and it for real made you feel good when you looked at it, that's you. Don't let nobody be like, girl, that is cut too short, or your titty showing it. Fuck, like, the breast feed the world. I'm so over people saying your cleavage is showing. I cannot help my double D's, yo. Look, genetics made that. Now, I do burlesque, so I show my body. I feel comfortable showing my body. But even when I'm dressed regular, I can't wear certain shirts because like button-ups open for me. Like, they don't stay closed. So I don't wear button-ups, but I may wear a low-cut shirt because shape-wise, I don't look as wide. Like, I've noticed certain shirts make me look like a box. They make me look like wide. So I don't like that. I don't like looking like a box, And that's not because somebody told me that. But it's like, that's something I feel like, if anybody is interested, I do coaching. I do like confidence coaching and everything. Because, again, I'm a cheerleader. I don't like to see people neglecting themselves or disrespecting themselves. We have to love ourselves, and when you love yourself, then you know what type of business to get into. Business is about serving people. That's the biggest advice I can say if you want to ask about business. A lot of people get into business to make money, and if you do that, you're going to always lose money because it takes money to make money. But when you get into service, people always need something. Right? You always need toilet tissue. You always need toothpaste. You always need soap. So think about your business like that. What can I do that can help people, but they need it all the time? In my case, I'm more in the creative aspect of things. So my service to people is providing them the equipment and the creativity to bring their visions to life. Because there's a difference between a guitar player that plays his guitar in his room and then a guitar player who's filmed, and now he's sending that filmed video to a house of blues to say, hey, can you let me play in your venue, right? So we have to look at it like that.
Let's talk about you coaching. How was that? Or is it separate from...
As far as confidence coaching?
Yeah.
I'm part of, which I tagged, I'm part of Body Confidence for Queens. It's a all-black, woman-owned burlesque troupe. And with the troupe, we perform solo, but we also perform as a group. And we actually have auditions coming up this summer. So each summer we take a certain amount of students and we basically teach them. We coach them, give them body confidence, tell them things about themselves, and help them identify within themselves things that are beautiful and great about them. And I also do one-on-one too. It doesn't have to be a group setting. If you're like, oh, I don't feel comfortable being in a group, I just want to work one-on-one, I work one-on-one as well. But the goal is to really show you the tools, because the thing about coaches, it can get very easy for people to just like want you to coach them all the time. But coaching isn't about that. Coaching is teaching you the tools, how to coach yourself. So that's what the confidence coaching is identifying where you feel like you're weak at and identifying where you're strong and finding tools that can help you build those weaknesses so you can feel confident.
I've never heard of, if I have, I probably don't remember, but I've never heard of confidence coaching. Like, I know that there are like women body empowerment movements and things like that, but as far as like having that intimate conversation about things, I've never come across that before.
Yeah, I mean, when you get into like the entertainment world, confidence coaching is definitely normal. Like, for example, you'll probably see a lot of confidence coaches working with like models, right? You'll see a lot of them working with actors. And some confidence coaches identify as life coaches, right? They don't even call themselves confidence coaches. Some of them identify as life coaches because sometimes it'll start off with building that person's confidence, but that confidence may not be physical. Their confidence may be like financial, like, man, I don't believe I can make money. So they need a coach to help them learn how to make money. So coaching is really based on what that person needs. And so, believe it or not, a lot of people do not love their bodies. A lot of people do not love themselves. And that's not because of them. It's unfortunately, over time, we identify with things that were told to us.
Right.
If your mom constantly was like, oh, girl, look at your fat ass. To your mom, she probably was joking. But to you, subconsciously, that sank in. So now every time you put on clothes, you're like, damn, my ass is kind of fat. And you're not saying it in a nice way. You know, you saying it in a like, oh, way. And most of the times when we're doing these classes, that's the biggest part, is like breaking down what thoughts are really yours and what thoughts were people's things that they said to you. And now you've made it your thoughts, right? There's so many people that have internalized words. And that could have been from a teacher. It could have been from a sibling, a family member. It's a lot of people we interact with in life. You never know what your words, how they affect people. So, yeah, we work through those things. We journal. We do movement with it because we are a dance group. So we do movement with the workshop as well to help people move their body, move the energy around, and like really find the inner them.
That sounds lovely. Okay. So one thing that I ask a lot of people as like a closer for the conversation is dreams versus passion. So everybody could be a dreamer. Everybody has had like dreams of what they want to do, what they want to be. And then there's a passion where you're doing something that you just love and it takes like no effort for you to do it. So with everything that you do, being a creative, being a producer, being a dancer, would you describe it as being a dream of yours that came true, or in everything in totality, is it your passion?
Definitely my passion, because the interesting thing about my dreams, I never know when they're going to happen. I have so many dreams, and a lot of them have come true. A lot of them have happened, which lets me know that my passion is real. Because you can dream about something and be passionate about it, and it never happens.
Right.
But I think my passion drives me to make it happen. I don't do anything that I'm not passionate about. Right. I don't involve myself with things I don't really want to do, that I don't really love, because I'm not going to be my best. Like, why would I waste your time, my time, the circumstances time? That's also why I don't do shows. Like, you know, people are like, oh, when you're going to do another performance? But I don't believe in just performing. I don't believe in just getting on stage to get on stage. That's a waste of my energy, because it takes a lot of energy to perform. You know, people talk a lot of crap about singers and like when they hitting wrong notes and all of that. But that takes a lot of work. What you see Beyonce do, what you see Usher do, that takes work.
Yeah.
And I've seen them both live, and it makes me so excited every time they, you know, put out like a little DVD, you know, behind the scenes, because it's like, for the level of show this was, how the fuck did y'all do this? You know, like, and like even with Beyonce, seeing her that, what was it, like 2 years ago for the Renaissance tour, them outfit changes.
Right.
You know, like, I don't think people understand how expensive that is.
Yeah.
Because she wasn't just changing her outfit. She had her dancers' outfits like match her. So yeah, it's like, to me, I mentioned those two people because those people inspire me about when it comes to the conversation of passion. Like, you have to be a passionate person to be a musician. We don't make no money. Like, I know it looks cool and like it's flashy, and I'm at the level now where I am making money now, but I'm not on a Beyonce money making level, or like, you know, but like the level that I am at, it has shown me how important it is to protect my passion and not waste it. Because if I just only sang, I would be broke. If I just only sang, I would be broke. But me choosing to make art, me choosing to make a music video, me choosing to go on the stage and perform allows me to live my passion, but also sustain myself so that I'm not broke.
Definitely.
You know, I could just sing in the shower. Don't nobody have to know who SharmonJarmon is.
Right.
But I realized God has given me this.
Yeah.
God has put this desire within my being. Otherwise, it would not be so hard for me to be a regular person. I swear to God. Like, I don't look for people to look at me. I don't look for people to see me. I just be getting dressed or doing myself, and people will like come up to me and take a picture or something. And so I've accepted, like, I am the art.
Yes.
The passion of me is the art. Me being myself is the art. And I have to honor that. One of my mentors told me, you have to pray over your gift. You have to pray over your talent. And even for yourself, you know, like, I don't know what your spiritual practices are, but like, even with you doing your podcast, you know, we talked about a lot of subjects in this, and whoever watches this, I hope that they see your passion for you wanting to talk to people and see your goals and what you're trying to develop from just having conversation.
Right.
All of that is like important. It's not in vain at all. So.
This may have to be one of my favorite conversations I had so far.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
But yeah, thank you for joining me today on this episode. It was a beautiful conversation, and we touched on a lot of different topics, and a lot of different knowledge was spilled. And I really do hope that people who listen, male or female, take heed to these conversations, take heed to the different gems that you drop, and hopefully we can make this world a better place. The more people that have like mindsets, we can definitely make this world a better place if we all collectively come together.
Thank you guys for having me. I can leave with any last words. Shout out to moms, man. We work really hard at sustaining humanity. It's fun being a mom, but it is a tough role, and I'm grateful every day to be able to like give another human life and provide them experience.
Mm-hmm.
And keep doing what you're doing. Like, never stop your passions, never stop following your passions, man.
Yeah, I can't. It's in me.